It's gonna be a sewer meeting, right?
Hmm?
It's gonna be a sewer meeting first?
I think so. Usually there's a few more people here at this point in time. The weather might keep a few people away, yes. The sewer meeting is a very informal meeting.
Informal?
Yeah. And there's no agenda. You ask a question, you'll answer. Unlike the regular township meeting, which follows.
You're not allowed to talk at that
Hmm?
one. You're not allowed to talk at that one until the very end.
Except at the very beginning, under comments on the agenda, comments at the end. Here you get to talk all you want.
Gosh, did I just want to take a nap?
Live streams.
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, did I go back
We
on there?
discussed
Well,
to do a survey of the erosion problems.
yeah, sure.
Sure. It
Your-
was good. It was nice.
Yes. So what is our conversation gonna be?
But
What's our conversation?
the last year we had.
The mic's on there.
Were undermined. The sidewalk, the problem is, kids
I
like to
have it
go up
on
and
such
pick
a
up the
but
rocks,
I don't get going
toss them
on
out.
until 6 o'clock.
Mhm.
I have it all set ready to
And
go.
that gives them a chance for the wave
It just went,
that come
and the
in.
whole computer shut down. It's
So
just
you-
shutting down.
So you don't want to do
Why
that
was it
again?
shutting down?
I bet you it's a Wi-Fi.
So I restarted it all and I thought, well, I'm just gonna hit go live, so
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we had a good thing, Gail. So it looks like we made about $5,500.
Yeah.
Basically, she said that she used to buy how much it cost to print the tickets and things like that. Some
But it's
odds
also
and ends
live
expenses. So I think
stream.
it's a good
A
thing.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was good. Does anybody ever turn them in? Tickets?
And the audio's not
Oh,
as good
well, they
on-
told us we didn't have to.
I know. So why do we print them?
I guess so that we know where we are. Could
You
we,
could do them.
could we figure out a cheaper way? And no, I said, who do I give my ticket to? And Jane says, oh, you never have to give your ticket to anybody. I just keep mine as a souvenir.
Right.
So yeah,
I didn't notice you there, sorry.
yeah.
Sure for one of you.
I sat down on the couch and I said, oh, man, I better set my alarm.
Nasty day.
Me too.
Because we were there like last night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
It's a losing battle.
It's been a long day.
Don't say that.
and it's so dreary.
Oh, it's cold.
Do you know? I'm gonna throw my winter.
All right, let's get out of here soon.
Harvey, wanna come?
She figures there's nothing you can do about it. Where's church? Have they been at these meetings? They're the one that started all this.
Oh. Some last minute additions. We're not gonna, that's all we're gonna have, so if you wanna share with people. Well, let's be thinking, I have to wait for after sewer, but how we think about it, because we had bids come in late for HVAC, HVAC. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
so that has this.
yeah, I would say take this,
Stay for the
and then
township.
once we start the meeting, if I'm paid for that, but they're gonna run out, we're not gonna go anymore.
So this is the explanation that we're doing for the township hall.
Yeah, they just came in this morning.
That's your-
We can listen about it.
Yeah, that's
Stay a little bit.
But you know, transparency.
I
Adding
can't
things on
do
the
anything
agenda at the
else.
last minute
No,
doesn't
we can't do
provide
Not a
transparency.
resident, you know.
Well, I mean, I am a part of during that too.
You were at one time?
Well, if you
Yeah,
have
when we
specific
first,
interested, you might
yeah.
wanna go over those things in detail, but I don't
Exactly.
have the knowledge to compare
When we bought
those
properties back in
things
Virginia.
anyway. Well, even the other night, the bids between the different things were so wildly different in their way of putting out a bid that It wasn't like comparing
I mean,
apples to apples,
it
really.
was like they weren't all.
Place has the worst taxes.
Especially the one.
That had the 7, 8, 5.
Yeah, because I think that one little part of, there was one little chunk of it that was like 27,000. That probably is,
Comparative to that.
yeah, but
You couldn't answer.
Do they have non-homestead or homestead down there too?
No.
No, everybody pays the same.
Exactly.
So were they going up?
Fair.
What do they think was gonna happen?
Well, it's funny because I was reading across the room today, because I keep missing appointments. So I came here and I was watching traffic, watching houses.
I can see where trucks are coming, that looks like they're going up Holden. But then aren't they going over towards Torrance at the same time?
Yes, it's only 4.
Just one block, or one
Because Mrs. Tate's put that on.
They haven't seen me sit around
Okay.
the fire after a couple glasses of wine. I won't tell you.
Yeah, so it's.
But anyway, so I heard about
I swear,
it. So I heard last year, put new sign up, and then
Set that one night, and I just walked around.
I don't remember that.
And I
Oh.
Well, that'll get you.
Yeah, so it's a little emotional.
Oh, okay, week before.
No, not that fire. But I thought it was.
The third time I cried.
I'm really looking forward to meeting tonight.
It's crying now.
Hi.
That was little Caden today. That was little Caden today. Betsy's
That was little Kate.
Oh my gosh. He remembered me because I don't remember how old he was, but he was in the orchestra pit playing drums, in high school. And that's before COVID. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he recognized me. I was like, oh my gosh. And his face looks still the same, but he's a tall young man now.
Yes, he is.
Nice kid. Nice kid.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it
Really cool to
was.
see him.
I know. I think it's gonna be messy all week is what it sounds like. Supposed to. I know. Some people need it, but those of us on the water do not.
On the water or in the water?
Yeah.
It's got out of the water.
Yeah.
He was underwater.
You can get anything in the garage. You can't.
I say,
Well, those all.
Regular meetings.
So, but if I don't get a plan,
And I do that. I'll make sure.
It's good to be ready.
between the house and.
I
don't think we would.
Oh.
Yeah.
They started down by me. Down by the park.
That's my neighbor. So I'll work.
Yeah, yeah, please do, yeah.
I thought they did. I mean, it's a short run. I don't know, they run into all those trees down there.
I'm sure they did.
Because shit, they didn't get seen around.
Yeah.
Save rock.
That would be the dumping spot over that. The trees.
Oh, yeah, I know I dug down there.
Yeah.
It's just.
I know, but it's like.
Yes, that was the comment. And I laughed about that. I'm just like.
I didn't drive down.
No, no.
Because I think the conversation was pretty serious.
I'm here to help. Next week.
I don't know.
I do, because you are always doing something. You can't stop.
Well,
I got-
No, you're, I'll take some control. Well, it's nice because that's, I mean, it's, otherwise it's a waste of space. And now you'd be.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
Making a bunch of noise at 6 o'clock. in the
That's
morning.
something. There was some guy down the corner in the drive, or in the garage.
I know. I'm like, who would? You know, if.
Your place is 5:30 in the morning. They must have a little up at the trucks at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, they were fighting over it.
Is it behaving better?
Okay. Just shut it. And then I just restarted everything. I have no idea.
Okay, we will call the sewer meeting to order at 6:03. Thanks for coming. Aaron.
Okay. So right now, what we have going on is Walton, who's the phase 2 contractor, is working through the gravity portion of the phase 2 project. They're currently working their way up Birchfield, and they're doing mainline sewer and setting in service leads. They had kind of a little bit of a slow start getting the process going, especially with dewatering, and they've kind of got honed in and they're starting to make better progress along the way. So the other thing that happened is on Monday of this week, the phase 2 low pressure sewer subcontractor to Walton, who does the drilling, showed up, and they started drilling today out on Sturgeon Island. So that's also going on right now. The other items we have out there is we had an award recommendation pending for the board's review tonight for the wastewater treatment plant, where we're recommending the addition and the screen and the contract package minus the unheated pole barn. And the underlying reason to all that is to leave enough contingency in the overall funding package to make sure that we can complete all the obligations that are out there. We've got basically $4 million worth of construction we have to finish up in this next 12 months. And if we put the pole barn into the mix, we which is about 3.5%. So when you go into opening up an existing plant and doing additions and digging in the ground and doing these things, you hit unforeseen circumstances that sometimes uncover something that costs money. So we're trying to make sure we have enough money there between that, and then they just started drilling on Sturgeon Island. Everybody knows the water situation out there was extreme. We're hesitant to allocate all of our money and not leave enough to be able to deal with some unforeseen stuff as we work through this. So that'll be a topic tonight for you. But that's kind of where we're at in the project. And we're still Holden, South Mac area to try and get services located so we make sure we stay ahead of the contractors to set service leads. And just deal with stuff as it comes up.
So before it comes up in front of the board later, the question of the barn. So that would be for temporary storage of machinery and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the idea is that it's the unheated storage. So they have storage within the building that's heated. So they can have equipment that would be sensitive to temperature and that kind of stuff. The idea of the pole barn was to be able to store like a lawnmower, some of these pumps that we're going to buy through the process to have on stock, and a generator or trailer mounted equipment, stuff like that. But it wasn't big. It's a 30 by 40 pole barn. And the problem is it came in at like, it's $150,000 to build it. It's hard for me to say, do that.
But the issue is if you kick it down the road, we've seen in the last 6 to 10 years, the price of lumber, steel, aluminum, and so on has just skyrocketed. I'm just wondering if it's something that you're going to need, that we're going to need 10 years from now. Is it prudent to kick it down the road? That's my concern.
Yep, this is, I personally went back and forth in my mind about that exact thing. Like, you have money, we actually have the money to do it right now. It would just leave everything very tight to get through our project. And my thinking on it is that the money doesn't disappear just because we didn't allocate it. As every month that goes by and we get further and further through the collection system work and everything goes fine and we haven't encountered extras and they open up the plant, they get the screen installed and things are on a track where we haven't dipped into these contingency funds, we can always add it back in before they demobilize. So we don't lose the ability to do it, but what we would do is we would probably lose the completion date. So they would want extra time to be able to do the pole barn at the end of the project. And then they might have some extra in terms of holding over Irv or whoever's going to oversee the project for his extra oversight where he can't say double dip or he can't watch the plant and the pole barn going at the same time. So he might lose some efficiency and have some extra cost that way. But if it all plays out that way, we stay in contact with Grand Traverse and see how all this plays out.
And in the meantime, where would you store all the equipment and tractors and so on?
I assume they would keep the mower wherever they keep it today, which I don't really know where they keep the mower right now. But the pumps come in a box, essentially, probably about 18 by 18 by about 30 inches tall. And so the addition does provide storage space and it'll free up some space. We have some space in the blower room. So we have room within the plant to store like some of these pumps and some things like this. It would be like the trailer mounted generator that today just sits outside. So that would have to stay outside until something got built for them.
How large is this pole barn?
30 by 40. Part of the reason these things seem outrageous, in cost is when you take funding from the government, it comes with conditions for how you spend the money. One of the things is you get an engineer to oversee all of this, which adds some cost to it. The guys doing all the work have to be paid a prevailing wage according to Davis Bacon. Then we have to track all the paperwork for, it's just, and then it's all Buy American. We have to document that all these things have U.S. Steel, all the things that come along with the funding add to the cost. In addition to just this rise in construction costs we've seen over the past 5 years anyways. So it does compound. Yeah, Brett.
Good question. How many pumps are we going to store? Because at a rate of they only have 2-year warranty on shelf life, so we're gonna store 50 pumps, and by the time anybody gets ready to use them, there's no manufacturer's warranty left. So, storing a whole bunch of pumps seems to be ridiculous.
Yeah, the goal is not to really build up like a big inventory of pumps, just for the reasons you're laying out. We'll have a couple pumps extra from residents who are choosing not to have their grinder pump packages installed. They're doing their own pumps. We'll have a couple through that process. And then one of the things we built into these contingency funds is putting some number of pumps on the shelf for replacements and that type of stuff. But we're talking about 20-ish pumps, which would be 5% of the.
And we got 100 pumps out there in phase 1 and phase 2.
Right. Well, so 20%, I think 5% of the total connections, but yeah, in terms of those with pumps, it'd be about 20%. Yeah.
Because I know that, by the time that, like our whole low pressure system gets put in, manufacturer's warranties are already gone. So,
Yeah.
It's always brought up that we're warranting it. It's not we, it's all the residents are all warranting the pumps because the warranty's already gone from these pumps that's been sitting on the shelf.
Well, and I think one of the things that Tammy Gall out at Mead and Hunt has expressed is that concern, but also in the event of a complete failure, we want to have a few, something to get a homeowner back rolling again. Within, the idea tossed around is, what is that time frame? 24 hours, 48 hours? I mean, as the person who's without a pump, I want it in 12, right?
Yeah.
So, it would be nice to have a few. What that number is, we're still trying to figure out. And again, to create the relationships or to create the list or the database with other collection systems in the area who may be using the same pump or a pump that we can swap out in the case that we've had a bad batch and 5 went out, heaven forbid. That's what weighs on my mind, and that's where I would like, again, a bit of homework for the sewer advisory committee to find out what area systems use.
And again, so then in the warranty process of this thing too, is that township sends somebody out, maintain out there, and we find out, well, it's not, it was neglect, the reason why the pump went down. At that point, is the homeowner responsible for that pump then? Because unfortunately, a lot of these grinder pumps, like if tampons go in the toilet, you're going to eat a $800 to $1,000 pump,
right,
in a heartbeat, and
right,
a lot of people don't understand that. But
right.
So then they're going to get hit with the price of the pump, service calls, and all that.
Well, and again, you're touching on a lot of homework that, again, I want to ask this advisory committee to look into, to say, what are other communities doing? And yes, you are absolutely correct. The only thing that we should be putting in that sewer system is human waste and toilet paper, not a Kleenex, not a tampon, not a Tonka truck, not a sock. And we've had installation companies who do this on the backside, the reinstallation and the clean out, say, we've taken all of that out of them, and it happens. So we have to help educate. But yes, if I have a Tonka truck plugging up my lateral, that burden is on me, the homeowner. If it's a pump failure, and we would know that, I will lean into Mead and Hunt, or do we, again, homework for the sewer committee, do we want to look at a contractual arrangement with an installer who might be interested in saying, I'll be your go-to if and when we have pump failures, to turn it around in 24, 48 hours, 36. I'm not willing to wait that long. I want it in 12. Again, the homework, right? But if it's on me, if I've got the sock stuck in there, that's my responsibility. doesn't mean that we won't have a triage group or somebody to get there and get it changed out, and we're gonna stick it on your bill, on your taxes, right? And again, other things to talk about with other communities who've had skin in the game longer than we have. We have a really steep learning curve.
Yeah, that's what I like about. But anyway,
Well,
but
exactly.
going to the pole barn, so we keep 20 pumps and we got a lawnmower. We don't need a 1,200 square foot pole barn to store 20 pumps in a lawnmower.
Maybe not. I mean,
You know,
again,
for
this,
$150,000, I mean, it's like Aaron said, we're paying almost a third more for this just for the engineering, which you wouldn't have any other time. You could actually put up a 30 by 40 pole barn for $65,000
Right.
really easily.
right. Well, and I think this was back in, 3-4 years ago when we first started the project. Again, costs were different then. The dream was a little bit different than that. I don't know about you, but we seem to be able to fill storage space like no other in our
Well,
family.
everybody can, but I mean.
But again, if you don't have it,
Yes,
it won't be
space.
filled.
Right.
So again, the question is, I don't think it's so much, do we need it, but how do we need it and when do we need it? And what I feel like I'm hearing from Aaron is, let's hold off a little bit. Let's chuck it in at the end. Simply because there's so many unknowns out there right now. Sturgeon Island is awfully wet.
You don't have to tell me, I live there.
I know you do. I'm very conservative that way, and I'd rather reserve funds for what we may encounter in phase 2.
That's just, the drilling process right now. I just didn't understand why anybody would come over there in an area that's so devastated right now just to drill, just because your drill rig's in town. And you can't even drill one part of it. So I've talked to, I talked to you one day, Trudy, and the young man that owns Walton's, Tom was the foreman, and everybody said they were being pushed. And I come to talk to you, and who's pushing? But Tom was telling me they were being pushed. Was it Justin or Dustin from Walton's? He told me he was being pushed, and then I come and seen you, and you said you had a meeting with him in the morning, and you just talked about it, and they weren't coming over there or nothing. But he was in my driveway at 11 o'clock telling me they were being pushed to come over
Well,
there.
when you and I spoke, that was almost 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And we had a meeting that morning,
Mhm.
and the discussion was that we were going to start and move this way. Now it's 2 weeks later. And I can't speak for that. Maybe you can address, but at some point we have got to try to see what we're dealing with, at least over there.
There's water, even in a dry summer, your water table's at 20 inches.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, half of us are still, there's still a foot of water in the road.
Yep.
And to go in directional bore, now this thing's coming right down in my front yard, and they're not, and I expressed this several times, they're not going to dig in no monster hole in my front yard. I give them 10 feet to work in, and if they can't work in that 10 feet, then they're out of there, because they're not going to come in here and just destroy the island just because this drill rig is on site.
Mhm.
Because a mold for a drill rig is not like a mold for a digger or anything. It costs them $200 to haul that thing on a trailer from Traverse City. So just to come in and destroy a bunch of private property makes no sense.
Yeah, so I guess for a little context, we do progress meetings every other week. And 2 weeks ago, when we had our progress meeting, Sturgeon Island was on hold.
Yep.
And they called us Friday and said, oh, we're gonna be mobilizing Monday morning. We said, okay. And
Yeah, but who makes that decision, Aaron? I mean,
It's the contractor.
It should go through your office, not the contractor.
but it is the contractor. So when we award something, there's completion dates and there are damage clauses to it. We don't control the contractor's schedule other than to say, here's where you have to be done. So I don't know why they chose. I personally would not have, but for whatever reason, they want to come out, mobilize, and start drilling. we don't have any contractual way to tell them, no, you can't, without incurring the potential for damages from them saying, you're interfering with my progression of work. Now you owe me something.
I know, but we're totally underwater down there, and it just doesn't make no sense. You can't locate underwater. So, this is about as asinine as it gets, really.
Are they hitting anything but water right now?
Right now, that water table is at the road. I can tell you
It has to
that
be.
I'm on the Sturgeon River.
Well, half of the road, going down Grace Street down to the end, it's still, there's a foot of water. I waited on it today, and so, a contractor just coming in and telling people what they're gonna do, and it's a private area.
Right.
And that's what I expressed to him several times. And, I did sign an agreement that you can work in 10 feet of the easement. That's it. To open dig anything on that island right now is just no way, because you can't even walk in the yards.
Yeah.
So if they're coming down tomorrow, there is not gonna be an excavator. If they can drill it without digging a hole, they can do it. If they cannot, no digging in my yard. It's not gonna be allowed. All right, so
Bottom's gonna fall over.
I don't know if anybody else wants to come over there and babysit them, but it's just not gonna happen, so.
Considering the fact of what's going on there, and because this was such an unusual circumstance, they doubled that with contracts when its completion date, because this was such an unusual seasonal event, and that's substantial completion date be adjusted.
So there's like legal aspects to all of this, right? My personal opinion is if they requested an extension, I think there are probably grounds here to say, you could not come, this was not a normal spring where you could have mobilized and started work. But they've not asked for any kind of extensions.
Is that through Walton?
Well,
Okay.
So if they come in and now they do damage to the private property more than expected, more than a hole in the ground, it starts caving in, sinking in from all around because the ground is saturated. I can tell you it's at probably 24 inches higher right now than normal. And at some point in time, it was 36 inches or more. It's only gone down 18 inches.
Everybody over there's got pumps and crawl spaces and stuff, but everybody's pumping water. So, like I said, I'll just reiterate that, I know they were going very slow today. I don't know what their problem is, but open digging is not gonna happen.
You dig a hole and it's gonna cave in on you.
I agree. I don't know how you would dig a hole out there. I don't know what I assume all they're trying to do is just shoot the
That's
pipe.
what they told me they were gonna do. But you also, when you see that, you also see a mini digger going down the road. You question that. So, and like I said, Aaron, it's just, everybody knows it's gotta happen, but at what cost do we go on? I was in the field for 43 years. I know what it is. But it's also, it's just all about a mold. And because that drill rig was there, that drill rig could disappear. They're not gonna get to us for, probably 6 to 9 months, even more than that, to do our hookup. So to come in there and do that, and then they have to come back in and do dewatering and stuff like that to get these hookups done. It's just, it just didn't make no sense right now.
Well, we have another progress meeting on Thursday with them, and I'll make sure that these concerns are brought out.
Appreciate that.
I'm sure Trudy will too.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to just bring up one thing. I've been staying up at the campground for a month now because I couldn't
Get to
get
your
in where
house?
I got it. No, I could get in. I didn't have any damage except for underneath. But, the water was so high, my house was surrounded. You couldn't get to the house. So they're working on Birchfield and I see them running a pump where they put those two big, whatever they put in there right on the corner. Dewatering and that. But no, this is.
they
last
put in
year.
a manhole, a cleanout
Yeah,
structure.
so they did something. They needed a pump in there and they're pumping the water into the Sturgeon River. Which they could have ran the hose the other way and pumped it into Bird Lake. Because it would be closer to the Indian River to get out. I talked to the guy, he goes, well, we're almost done now. But it's like, my God, you're adding, it's like, what are you doing to us here? It's bad enough what happened, you know?
Yes.
If there's some way that they can just make us phase 3 or phase 4, go someplace else. Really, it's gonna take another 2 months to get down to any kind of decent level. And it's been 2 months already. 3 months, I don't know, 2 months. 2 months.
The public is probably not invited to participate in those things.
No.
I raise my kids, if you don't ask, the answer is no, so I have to ask.
I mean, rework the schedule, I guess. I don't know what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, we can make a suggestion to them and tell them all these concerns and try to see if we can get some kind of, yeah, some way to accommodate a change in their schedule here.
Yeah, because they were supposed to actually, when they come in the other day and I talked to, representative of your company, and they're gonna start up on Barbara, they're gonna do Barbara, and they're gonna come down and get down to the manhole there, and then they were gonna come and start it, and within 3 hours, all of a sudden, here they come, they're coming across the bridge. What happened just a few minutes ago? Like some lost souls.
There's definitely been some communication issues.
Other questions, comments?
Are all the lift stations operational in phase 1 now?
Except for Arthur Street.
And what is the hold up there? Is it the guy with the no trespassing signs there?
Yes, we encroached onto his property and he made us aware of that, and now we have to deal with getting that resolved with him.
So all those people in phase 1 in that area, they still have till January to hook up, but you're not putting that station in operation yet? Is that right, Judy?
That's correct. We have to replace that, the top, the manhole cover. If we recall, it was not automobile worthy. So we had the new tops come in, and that's when everything stopped. We could make it operational, but then we'd have to have, it won't be clean, what's referred to as clean. We'd have to have confined spaces charges, have it cleaned out.
So the day-for-day delay, are you adding all those people there? You're adding time on for the day-for-day?
Not yet. I'm always hopeful that there will be an agreement achieved. I still believe that. At some point here soon, we're going to have to seek legal counsel on what to do for those individuals down in that area, those 16 or 18 individuals, because they shouldn't be punished for the act of one person. We may have to do something different for them.
So are you telling me that the lift stations are actually on private property, not a right of way? Is that what you're saying?
So the diameter of that lift station, there's probably 12 inches of it goes beyond the right of way onto the private property. And then to compound the problem, we were trying to negotiate all of this with them, and we set the lift station control panel. We turned it 90 degrees into their property, thinking we were going to resolve this with them. So it made encroachment worse. And then we came to a stalemate with them, and now it's been turned into an insurance claim for us, because it's our responsibility to take care of it. So it's working its way through that process.
We've all heard about eminent domain, right?
Yep, I mean, I'm basically to the point where I might have to go to the other side of the road and install the lift station in the right of way and just deal with it. But I'm trying to get this resolved. So
Aaron, while they're right here, they're pushing, they're going underneath the river right now too, when they're doing this run, right?
Brent, I wish I knew the answers to these things. They did not tell me a process or we're gonna do this, this, and this. So the last progress meeting, it was on hold and they didn't tell us anything about a plan to drill. They mobilized, now they're drilling. We're gonna see them on Thursday and try to get clarification on like what is the progression, what are you trying to accomplish? You know, we'll raise all these concerns about any excavation that happens out there, if they're just trying to punch the pipe through. Okay, but we'll talk about all these things with them. I don't know what their plan is at this point.
You have your progress meeting on Thursday. Could you do me a favor and let me know what's going on?
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank
I have a question on the pumps. As I say, are they, the system goes in and you all put a pump in for it. Is there a period of time where, say, 2 years down the road it fails, that would be like under warranty, right? We don't pay for the homeowner for a replacement pump because we're paying a monthly service.
It was promised by the previous board that the township would forever, always and forever, maintain the pumps. So that needs to be looked at because that could become very expensive because some people, it has to be built into that quarterly O&M fee, replacement of pumps, like everything else, pump prices go up. But that was the promise. That was the intended promise by the previous board, that the township would bear, that the township sewer district would bear the cost of replacing those pumps. I can tell you in checking with other area systems, nobody does that. So at some point, we might need to look at that.
That's not what was told and written down a couple of years ago.
Well, my understanding that Mr. Kramer said the township would always and forever, in all perpetuity, handle the replacement of the pumps. Now, if it was a mechanical failure, the ordinance is very clear, and the ordinance has been in effect for some time, that if it's a Tonka truck, and my grandkid put it down there, that's on me. If it's a mechanical failure, that's on the township. But the question that I'm hearing, and that I believe I heard the answer to some time ago, was that the township would replace these pumps on an as-needed basis as they mechanically failed in perpetuity. I'm saying I think that's a noble gesture, but I think that we really need to look at that long term.
It may or may not be what you think a noble gesture, but we're paying a monthly service fee, which you already talked about increasing.
For operations and maintenance of the actual collection system and the wastewater treatment plant. That's correct.
That's part of the collection.
From day one, it's always been that the pumps are gonna be warranted by the residents. And because of in the same, because we pay for it. And now I'm putting my own pumps in, so you have no warranty, and I take the cost because I don't want to have this little thing in my yard that every 12 gallons is going to cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That way when the power goes out, I got a 750 gallon tank that I can use till it's full.
Mm-hmm.
But when everything else and the power goes down, these guys get the 12 gallons and they're all done.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, and you don't want to incur that extra cost on yourself, but it's just something that is a good idea. In some places you can, some places you can't. If old tanks, it's not, they're leaking. It's like everything. First thing you got to do is you got to have the tank pump down. You got to show that they're not getting the infiltration from the outside, so you have extra water going into the treatment plant and stuff. But from day one on this sewer, from when they first started, it was always they were going to warranty the pumps, the township, which really isn't the township. It's the residents of the township. So
That was my understanding as well. And my concern moving forward is it financially feasible? I mean, it's expensive, as you guys are hearing and saying. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, but how do you back out of an agreement?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying, I think it warrants looking at and doing some cost projections.
I think, if you go to phase 3 or phase 4 or phase 5 or whatever, you could make that adjustment there. And tell the people that, look, the pumps go in and then they're on your own. But there's an agreement made, and if everybody voted on that, per se, for this, and now we back out of an agreement, it just doesn't seem like that's the right thing to do. I mean, everybody agreed, and Mr. Kramer said, well, everybody's gonna pay the same, and then, and then there was $1.8 million by the DEQ that was donated, it couldn't be paid to pay down stuff, but they took that money instead. I don't understand why we didn't put generators on our lift stations, so when we have a power outage, that they would be self-sustaining instead of dragging around a generator on a trailer that might not work, like an ice storm. That would have been
generators have been purchased with or allocated with the contingency funds to be able to be purchased.
I mean, it would, that to me, a little gas powered generator on lift stations is a very wise thing to do, because of the fact that, something happens, we lose power for 5 to 10 days, everything is functional. So,
Right. Yeah. And if you recall last month, we did allocate that. So, and as most of us know, who've endured power outages for extended periods, a lot of us have gone to home generators. So we at home are still generating water, but if your lift station's not, it all stops there. And that's what we ran into a year and a half ago. So yeah, again, trying to think ahead for all contingencies that might happen. And goodness knows over the last 18 months, we've incurred 2 big ones that who would have thought? Who would have thought? I know you all know how low it is down there. But had you ever in your wildest dreams imagined this?
And you go back and they had the turbo running over there, which is 30 to 40% of the output of the dam. That might have helped a whole bunch of us too.
Yeah.
Hindsight.
Yeah.
It's still.
Karen, I have a question on the pump. So a person that isn't here for the full year, away for 5 months, that pump sits idle. There any issues with it seizing up?
There's not really issues with it seizing up because there is some level of liquid down in there. It's not like the pump is sitting there dry, rust,
Well, it was idle for 5 months.
Yeah, but in this area, we have a lot of seasonal use homes, and we don't see a lot of, pump failures due to seasonal use and that type of stuff. They seem to be able to handle that down period and then start back up.
We used to sit in water.
Well, mine's been working for 20 years, so I don't know. What, want to make a model of the pump I use?
Yeah, what you got?
That's how Kevin Prevost designed it.
Yeah. We've gone to Liberty as the manufacturer, so it's a US-based pump, which meets all our requirements for funding. And then they're made in New York, and they're red. And one of the nice things about them is they're not like a proprietary seller. It's not like you have to go to this rep to be able to get it. It's widely available. So you can go down, I don't know if Miles Supply carries them, but you can go down to Traverse City and get one today.
Mylan does.
Mylan does, yeah. So that was one of the goals too, is to make these things accessible, a high quality pump that's gonna last, that has a good reputation. And I mean, if you like watching sewer videos, you can go online and look at these Omnivore Liberty pumps, and they show them throwing like a pair of blue jeans down there, it shreds it.
Let's not do that.
But I'm just,
Yeah.
It's a high quality pump.
Yeah. Please, let's,
Yeah.
Like viewing tonight.
I vote for phase 5.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Changing subject a little bit. Have you had a chance to talk to the county about the road in? Like specifically Mac, everything is so washed out. Is there any plan for what we're gonna do once?
I have not spoken with them about that specifically. I know they, like the rest of us, are catching up, you know, but I will put it on my list to ask them because it's not just Mac, there's others, and they may,
Sure.
yeah, they may wait. Certainly if I was doing a project, I'd wait till we get all of our business done and our paving done, and then I'd come down and tuck it all up together.
Yeah, I mean, I was down there in the old foundation.
I saw that. I saw that.
Going back to the years, I heard there was real buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Concession stand is what I heard, and I was at one of them was the foundation.
The lady to ask is over there. She's our local historian. She may know.
Yeah.
She may know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I did see that as well. Yeah.
And so, there is Main Avenue, is that pushed back on the schedule now, or what's the progression?
At the last progress meeting, they told us they were about 1 week behind the original schedule.
So it's gonna be for anytime soon, or?
So they should be done with Birchfield this week, and then they got the little stub on Witt, and then they'll move to the end of South, set the one manhole and go up that alley of Pine Boulevard or whatever that alley is called right there. And then they'll come up Holden, and then they'll drop back, do a little piece of Witt, and then the next alley that I don't think has a name, and then they'll drop back and do South, and then they'll drop back. So they're probably late July.
Yeah, late July, okay. So it will fall into the boat race. Everything's.
Well,
You did what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go forward.
they're aware the boat race is on the calendar there.
Yeah.
They know.
Is there a target date for the completion of the phase 3 PER?
I think we have 90 days.
Yes, sir.
If we're gonna need those results before we get the, next petition out, and we're gonna want to know the results of that before it's on that line.
Yeah, we haven't really talked to the township a whole lot about schedule and progression through it, but I'm gonna assume that one of the goals would be to have enough information that while people are here during the summer, you can have some sort of public input. Yeah.
And it makes it makes most sense, yes, to try to catch most people while they're here if they're coming. That'll be the other issue, but yeah. And I think that, in my opinion, that was a bit of a slowdown early on when the flood was so incredibly raging. If you weren't here to see it for yourself, the videos did not do it justice. But I had Steve Mann calling here to say, Trudy, are they banging on your door asking for petitions? And I said, sadly, no. And he said, they're missing the opportunity because he said, what I'm seeing is it's needed. And we're still seeing it, right? We're still seeing it. And I think for people that are wintering away and maybe coming for only a short time this summer, maybe July, who knows what their schedules are, talking to some of the neighbors, and we'll still see damage. We'll still see issues.
Well, there's places like on Sturgeon Island, you can't even assess the damage yet, because you're still water.
FEMA came, I know they came down in in your neighborhood.
Yeah, they did with 2 truckloads, nobody got any boots on, nothing, they just drive down the road. And it's no kidding, and they got 2 state police officers with them too, though.
Yeah,
But,
well, yeah,
yeah, they drove 2 truckloads come in, 8 people, and you don't even get out of the truck, they had no boots.
you know, they came here the week after. They gave us 48 hours to put some costs together for township-related damage. Well, it was pluck a number out of the sky and take lots of pictures. But they did come and they referenced having come down to speak to residents down in your neck of the woods and over your way. And that they spent 2 hours in here asking me where I came up with these numbers. And I said, well, you gave me 48 hours. I did this. And so then they went out and took pictures, and we started at Eagle Beach and went around, and they said they had been down to Sturgeon Island and talked to residents of Barbara. I'm not sure if they came down to Navinoy neighborhood. We sent them all along the river. And when they left here then to go out to the landings and the spreads, their comment was, this is the worst hit community in Sheboygan County. They said, by far, you have suffered the most flood damage here, and we're still suffering it. So, you know, the push was on to get the paperwork in. My understanding is we should hear by Thursday. I know today I just finished a grant for last year's ice storm to get donated services, some reimbursement on donated services and food from the shelter that we, the Women's Club, so graciously helped, and many other volunteers. So it's not a fast process. They acknowledged that. They acknowledged the emotion, the level of emotion that we have here, and we're all entitled to that emotion. And they admitted, with the government, it seems like you're going backwards before you ever go forward. Yes, don't we know that? It has been 18 months, and we have finished the last piece of last year.
At least the group from Sheboygan that come out there, they were in front of FEMA. At least they come out, they had their boots on, they walk the island, everything, they ask questions and stuff of what you lost and stuff. It's totally different than the federal people that
Right.
just riding around.
They're here to help.
They didn't care.
Is there anything that can be initiated at your level and bumped up to the county and to the state to say, you know, they do some kind of triage on what had happened? Because there's all kind of stuff that's being published, whether it's true or not, you don't know. But the dam being too high, the hydroelectric plant not functioning, and stuff like that. And then somebody told me, well, you know, the rivers are the choke neck because you can't get rid of the water when it gets narrowed down into the river. And one of the DNR people up at the dam actually told my neighbor that they're pulling the pumps. And we said, why? The emergency's not over. It may be over at the dam. And they said it is, but they pulled the pumps because the emergency was done. And they said if we pumped anymore, we would run the Sheboygan
They
River
said they were
dry.
gonna suck the river dry, but their quote was, we will suck the river dry.
Really? They
I said, you need to think about it.
back to 8th grade geography.
Yeah.
You know,
But actually, that got me thinking,
It's the
because
shoals going
at
into
some
the
point
river.
in time, the Army Corps of Engineers, they dredged the Sheboygan River, the Indian River, some other rivers to make them navigable. They've got signposts up red and green all the way.
Right.
So throughout the decades ago that they did this, and I don't know when it was, but I'm sure silt and other stuff have accumulated in the rivers and built up. And I would think that if they could take maintenance, you know, just dredge out a couple of feet more out of each of the rivers, and even the mouth of the Sturgeon River would help, because they get plugged up there. That would help that flow.
Well, it's interesting you talk about dredging, because last summer we did have representatives here from the Army Corps of Engineers out of Chicago. And they were clueless as far as the watershed, and they wanted to dredge the mouth of the Sheboygan River and then haul it all the way out to Tuscarora Township to dump it, which made no sense to us at the time. And we had about a dozen people here to hear of their plan, and I'm still waiting to hear of their plan.
We took them on a boat 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns we've had for a couple of years is when one of the unintended causes of when you put in the metal ways into the Sheboygan River from Mullet Lake, you've got a whole lot of sediment that has gathered around there. And so you really have a shoal there. And so you've got water trying to go through a straw right there. And that's why there's still high water everywhere back here, but the Sheboygan River is actually low. It's,
Right.
It is low. And so by taking the measurements in front of the dam, it does no help for anybody in the watershed.
That's right.
So,
I don't know
we
how
haven't
they-
heard that from the
Yeah.
Army Corps of Engineers either. We spent 2 days in the water with them, taking them all the way through the waterway because it hasn't been dredged in years. And there's areas that definitely do.
And the Sturgeon River starts in Gaelic, 30 miles south, so you're 65 miles from this dam. And they say, well, we don't see a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Yet everybody else is.
Well, are they mandated to keep that channel?
I don't know.
And they put the channel markers, it's all. Army
Yeah,
Corps of
yeah, it is Army
Engineers.
Corps of It's Army Corps of Engineers because it goes into the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
That's what causes it to be Army Corps of Engineers instead of the Coast Guard or somebody else.
It's probably their mandate when they dredged it.
Yeah, we've been trying to get back in touch with people. that live on the roads.
I thought there was a report that once said,
Quick question before I know it's getting close here. How do we know who is on that sewer?
We have had 10, we're gonna make a nominations to make, we had 10 applicants. And we developed the, committee to hold 5 to 7. So the board will discuss that tonight and make nominations and hopefully we'll get a hold of everybody tomorrow and they'll say yes and you'll have homework and we'll go. Okay. So yes, if you don't want to stay for the 7 o'clock meeting, certainly if you put in an application, you'll be called either way. Okay. Other questions? Comments? No? We should have everyone take a bucket of water, dump it down over here from Sturgeon Island, something. And then when it rains, I think of all of you.
Come back today, full force.
Yeah.
it's back up, it went up.
Yeah, we lost 50 foot of road again today. So it was great.
And it's supposed to rain less.
Last week when it rained 3 inches, we got 2.5 back.
It's been back a week.
Yeah. Well, was it you that you were telling me that Odin, was out to the road there too? So
Coming up here today.
Must be because the Crooked River's too shallow.
That's it.
It's a half to an inch per day if there's no rain. It'll drop.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. It's not going down fast. Somebody needs to bring out the sponge here.
I think early on I heard anywhere, and this was early on in the flood, there were predictions of how long it might take for the waters to drop. And they said, 60 days to 160 days. And I think we're leaning into that 160. I was always hopeful for the 60 days. And had it stayed warm and not raining, I thought, who knows?
Then we're in a drought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 miles north it is, it's like tinder dry and frightening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We can only get the water we need,
No. Have mercy.
Well, we'll take a little break and then we'll be back at 7 for the township meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.